Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our Wednesday Wisdom. This is episode number 26. I appreciate you being here. Hope you're having a good morning and that, of course, that you have a good day. Our devotional reading comes from Philippians 4 and verse 6, and this is what the Apostle Paul has to say. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. You know, Philippians 4 and verse 6 is a very well-known verse for many of us. It's actually a favorite verse of ours. It's Paul's way of telling us and informing us how to handle anxiousness and worry in our life. He tells us that the cure, at least the spiritual side of handling worry and anxiousness, is prayer. And he uses three words: prayer, supplication, and request. And he tells us, go and tell God. Go tell your Father who is in heaven what's taking root in your heart and in your mind and threatening that peace that you should have there. And of course, prayer is the bridge to the peace of God that we'll talk about some next week. But what's interesting about this verse is that most of the time we focus on one of two things. We either focus on the anxiousness or we focus on the prayer. But I want you to envision with me for just a moment taking this verse and stretching it out and putting it all on one line. Do you know that the center of the verse is not prayer or supplications or request, nor is the center of the verse the anxiousness or the worry? If you were to take this verse and stretch it out, all putting everything on one line, the center of the verse is the two-word phrase, with thanksgiving. In other words, the way that Paul tells us in which prayer helps us and prayer enables us and empowers us to overcome the anxiousness and the worry in our life is the attitude that accompanies that prayer. It's not just simply the request that is being made known to God, even though that's what we want to do and that's what we need to do. But it's not just simply letting God know about that request. It's the attitude behind it. And Paul says when you make your prayers, when you give your supplications, when you let God in on the request that you have concerning anxiousness or worry or the specific thing or the purpose that is on your heart and your mind, don't forget to be thankful. That's hard. It's hard because we make prayer, we center our prayers around our request. We center our prayers around what's on our hearts and our minds. And Paul says that's okay as long as the attitude of thankfulness accompanies that prayer. Being thankful, even in the face of adversity or anxiousness or worry, goes a long way to help worry and anxiousness from taking root within your heart and, of course, within your mind. And Paul says, have that thanksgiving there. Think about all the attitudes that we bring to prayer sometimes. Sometimes we're pessimistic. We're not exactly sure if God's going to hear it, and if He hears it, we're not sure if He's going to answer it the way that we're asking Him to answer it. Sometimes that pessimism is manifested in doubt. Sometimes we wonder if it's going to do us any good to pray at all. So it's those attitudes accompanying our prayer, and sometimes you just have to pray anyway, despite the way that you're feeling and the attitude that you may have. But the one thing that we as Christians can always be, no matter what the situation and circumstances are, is that we can always be thankful. So have that attitude of gratefulness, of thankfulness. And when the time comes in the prayer, whether it's at the beginning, in the middle, the end, tell God thank you. Thank you for prayer itself. Thank you for making yourself available to me at any point in time. I'm talking Sunday night about how we can put the golden rule into practice, and somebody in the class mentioned just simply saying thank you is a good way in which we can practice the golden rule. Well, let's not forget to practice the golden rule with God. Let's not forget to tell Him thank you. A quote that I heard so long ago, but it's always stuck with me concerning thankfulness and gratefulness, is that unspoken gratitude is ultimately ingratitude. Thankfulness is the one thing that you cannot keep to yourself and show to others. You can verbalize love, but you can also show love. You can't show thankfulness as much as you can verbalize it. Let me encourage you to verbalize your gratefulness to God as often as you possibly can. And then, of course, allow that thankfulness to bleed over into the rest of your life, and to be thankful to your spouse and to your children. Be thankful to your friends and your Christian brothers and sisters, your church family. Let thankfulness be something that accompanies your daily life, but especially your prayer life. Remember that unspoken gratitude is ultimately ingratitude. I hope that this morning devotional has benefited you. I hope it's encouraged you. I know it did me in terms of preparation. If it has encouraged you, please share it with your friends and your family. If you live in the Raleigh area, we would love for you to join us at the Raleigh Church of Christ. We're located at 911 Behringer Drive, Raleigh, North Carolina. We have class tonight at 7 o'clock here at the church building. Classes for all ages. If you're unable to join us, we would love to have you on Sunday mornings, 9:30 for our Sunday school and 10:30 for our morning worship. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you have a great day, and I hope that you have a blessed day. Bye-bye.